Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Monday, November 30th, 2020, and today we're going to be talking about the state of California and its impact on the Electoral College and the popular vote. So in 2016, when Hillary Clinton won the national popular vote by 3 million votes, many Republicans, including the president, turned to California and a couple of other populist states, saying that the Democratic Party would not have won the popular vote without California. Now, back in 2016, that would have held true. Hillary Clinton would not have won the popular vote if you took out the state of California. But we'll see something a little bit different in this election. Now, Donald Trump claimed that there were millions of votes that were fraudulent in the state of California, despite there being zero evidence of such. He even went so far as to saying that he won the national popular vote. We know this isn't true. When you're looking at California in specific, though, you do have to acknowledge that Hillary Clinton had a pretty strong lead over Donald Trump in this state. She won roughly 6 out of every 10 voters in the state. She had over 4 million more votes than him in the state of California, that if you did take it away from the national popular vote numbers, then Hillary Clinton would have lost the popular vote. However, in this election, there is something different. Let's go ahead and take a look at our electoral map. Joe Biden received the most votes of any presidential candidate in United States history, more than Obama in 2008, more than Obama in 2012, more than Hillary Clinton in 2016. So Joe Biden did something that many of us really did not expect. We did think that there would be high turnout, but we didn't think we would see levels of which we had never before seen in the United States. Raw vote share, this was the most voted in an election in United States history. So taking a look at California, Joe Biden won this state actually with 3 million more votes than Hillary Clinton did in 2016. She won 8.7 million votes, and in 2020, Joe Biden won 11 million votes. That's pretty significant. Donald Trump only increased by roughly 1 million votes. It wasn't a super large amount, and there were 17.4 million votes reported in this state alone. So at face value, you might think, because Joe Biden received more votes in California, that the margin would be enough to a point where if you took away California from both candidates, that Joe Biden would actually lose the popular vote. Well, we can actually go ahead and calculate it ourselves. I'm going to go ahead and take the popular vote number here for Joe Biden and add it in here and subtract the number. I just did this because I didn't want to waste any time, but we can go ahead and just subtract the number and see what the new popular vote number is for Joe Biden. We'll take a look at that. 69,094,677 votes and counting, because New York still has a little bit to report. Now we can go ahead and subtract Donald Trump's number. He received 73.9 million votes, so we can go ahead and add those in here. Let's go ahead and get rid of the commas really quickly. That way we can go ahead and make the numbers go pretty smoothly. Subtract this number, and we can see that as a result, Donald Trump actually receives still around 1.1 million less votes than Joe Biden, taking out the state of California. So it is not California that's putting Joe Biden over the top, and I think that's a common misconception that I've been seeing for the past few weeks, that California somehow would have, without the state of California, that Donald Trump would have won the popular vote, and that simply is not true. Yes, California does add 11 million votes to Joe Biden, but Donald Trump actually received the most votes in any state from California. He received nearly 6 million votes. The only other state that's comparable in terms of the numbers is Texas, where he received 5.89 million. In California, he received 5.98 million. So taking out California, you take out the state that voted for Donald Trump by the largest amount. Texas is a close second, but still, California, much larger in size. You can see that really 10 million votes cast here, 17 million in California. Donald Trump received a lot of votes in the state. So taking it out will completely invalidate nearly 6 million Donald Trump supporters, and which would actually not change much in terms of who wins the popular vote. It would be narrower than 2016, but this is just a very random scenario where we would be removing the most populous state. And as a result, it still doesn't spell out good news for Donald Trump. So let's go ahead and take out California. That reduces our electoral map to 483. Well, as a result now, if you divide this by 2, you get 241.5, which rounds up to 242 to win. Doesn't sound as catchy, but still, same type of logic applies. And we're assuming that Joe Biden wins all of the same states as he did in the past. Let's say in this map that somehow California decides to leave the union, not so much that they were being pushed out, considering they have a lot of things that would make them enticing to keep in the United States based off their economy. But let's just say in a hypothetical situation that the Democratic Party, pushed California out, or, the Democratic Party in California wanted to leave. And the statewide officials jumped onto it. They filed a secession notice, whatever it might be. Obviously, that isn't as easy as I'm making it sound, but let's say that was the case. Well, in that scenario, if California is removed, we do reduce to 483 electoral votes in total. And with this map, Donald Trump actually receives the same amount of electoral votes. Just because he lost 6 million votes on the popular vote does not actually impact his electoral college numbers. We're actually subtracting 55 from Joe Biden. But if we were working with the 270 to win, no, Joe Biden would not be elected president, but neither would Donald Trump. But we do have to adjust to the amount of electoral votes that we now have. 438, 242 to win. Joe Biden is at 251. Now, this isn't as large as a win as it could have been if California was added in. Joe Biden received 57% of the electoral vote if California is included. This is reduced down to 52% once you remove California. But this notion that California not only impacts Joe Biden's popular vote numbers to a point where if you remove California that he would lose it, we just proved that was false, but also on the electoral college, that if you remove California, that Joe Biden would also lose the presidential election. That simply is not true either. If Donald Trump had just done slightly better in Arizona and Georgia, yes, that would hold true. But that just wasn't the case. Joe Biden flipped 5 states and 1 congressional district, enough to win the presidency with 306 electoral votes. And in this scenario, 251. No matter how you cut it, California is not the sole reason why Joe Biden is winning the presidency. If Hillary Clinton was to win back in 2016, one may argue that. But if you're looking at the overall electoral college map and you're adjusting it based off a removed California, then you get the same result, the same president, the same type of scenario. So I don't really understand why we spend so much time talking about California's 29-point margin of victory for Biden. Yes, that is a very large margin of victory for Joe Biden. The Democratic Party should be happy with that. At every single time at 11 p.m., California is called for the Democratic Party. But then on the other hand, one could argue if you take out California, you would also take out Texas. And look what happens when you take out Texas. It reduces down to a total of 445 electoral votes, 223 needed to win. Joe Biden is well over that. Donald Trump is far from it. So no matter what you try to do with the electoral map, you can't hold one standard to a point where you would say you're invalidating 17 million voters, over 25 million people in the United States in California. So when you're looking at California and you're saying, if you're on the Trump side and you want to remove it, well, the Democratic Party has just an equal opportunity to say to remove Texas as well. And this whole argument that certain states shouldn't hold too much weight over others, it's just because they have more people. I mean, if we were talking about a different, there's no way that you could even defend removing a certain state from the electoral process. A voter in Wyoming should not count more than California, but based off the electoral college, they do. Now, if we were to find a perfect solution, which actually, if you watched my electoral college video, there is no mathematical way to solving the electoral college disproportions unless we were working in a popular vote system. And obviously, that's something that some Democrats want, some are opposed to, many Republicans are opposed to, probably won't get passed. The electoral college has been an institution for centuries. We probably won't see that change. But I do think that if we were talking about a perfect solution, there really isn't one. So if we're sticking with the electoral college, I think that this is what's going to hold. I don't think much is going to change, but the only way for all the votes to be equal per se is through the means of a popular vote system. But obviously that would change the way that we look at campaigning. That would change the way that we look at this country entirely. There would no longer be swing states. There would no longer be swing districts, really, because yes, candidates would likely try to sway certain voters, but at the end of the day, it isn't about getting a simple majority in a state. It's about winning every last vote. And candidates would be required to visit all 50 states and focus on every single part of the electorate because realistically they can't afford to lose any votes in that scenario. But again, that's besides the point. Looking at the popular vote, though, Joe Biden has won by over 6 million votes. And even without the state of California, which Joe Biden received 11 million votes from, Joe Biden actually receives the second most votes of any presidential candidate in United States history. Once New York actually adds in, it'll probably still be a point where Joe Biden receives more votes than even Obama in 2008. He's only off by less than 1 million votes. So if New York actually reports the numbers that it says they have, then it's very possible that Joe Biden actually would surpass Obama even without California. This election was monumental. This election was great for Americans because of the sheer amount of voters. I'm very happy that we saw this much turnout. And if you're looking at the future elections, it probably won't match this in terms of turnout. But this is also good for American democracy, just that we have this many voters voting. Even in 2008, 2012, 2016 elections where we all said the same type of spiel, that this was the most important election of everyone's lifetime. Well, obviously this election held a lot more weight than the ones before, at least based on what we've been experiencing now. And I think a lot of Americans recognize that. So main takeaway is I don't like this playing point that 17.4 million votes in California shouldn't count just because of the way that they voted. Obviously, you are going to have political disagreements or political agreements with how certain states vote, but I don't think it's right to invalidate this many American voters. And even if it was done, even if it came down to a point where somehow California was removed from the union, Joe Biden would still win the popular vote, and Joe Biden would also still win the Electoral College. And that's it. That's just how it works. And unfortunately for the GOP, this notion that California is the only Democratic region in the country or the leading Democratic part, I mean, yes, it has a very large population, but with that strategy, they're likely not making inroads anytime soon. Texas, on the other hand, that'll be a shocker sometime. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the bottom left of the screen, there's also a Discord server for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch and then a playlist for my post-2020 election videos. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow.